we're meeting both in our sanctuary and online, and we'll do our best to balance this hybrid offering. Today, December 21st, is the longest night of the year, and it seems appropriate to offer a blue Christmas service that honors the difficulty of this season. And while we began with the less than spiritual Blue Christmas by Elvis Presley, we acknowledge that sometimes our feelings can be out of step with the rest of the world. And it is good to be in community as we offer up our sadness and our challenges. I'll be leading our service this evening. I'm the ministerial intern here at First Parish, and my name is Darrah Bryans, and I use she, her pronouns. I'd like to offer a thank you to Reverend Katie, who is here. Welcome. Reverend Katie is here as our tech expert. And while we're coming together from different spaces, some here in the sanctuary and others joining us online, we will observe our practice of silence to create sacred space. If you have any tech problems, please type it into the chat and we will do our best to help resolve them. We'll be recording this session, so if you don't want to be on camera, please go to the video camera icon on your screen and turn off your camera. Our Vesper service is a traditional monastic evening prayer that's shared at sunset. It's a time for us to enter into an oasis of quiet as we transition from our busy day into our evening activities. We invite you in this time into this time of reflection in community. We'll begin with some centering music. We'll gather ourselves to the solstice carol sung by the WYRD sisters.
A fire is burning, the long night draws near. All who need comfort are welcome by here. We'll dance 'neath the stars and toast the past year, for the spirit of solstice is still living here. We'll count all our blessings while the mother lays down, with snow as her blanket covering the ground. Thanks to the mother for the life that she brings. She'll waken to warm us again in the spring. The poor and the hungry, the sick and the lost, these are our children, no matter the cost. Come by the fire, the harvest to share, for the spirit of solstice is still living here. A fire is burning, the long night draws near. All who need comfort are welcome by here. We'll dance 'neath the stars and toast the past year, for the spirit of solstice is still living here. The spirit of solstice is still living here.
On this longest night of the year, we light our chalice as both a symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith and the bringing of light and warmth in this winter season. Our chalice reading this evening is Come We Now Out of Darkness by UU minister Reverend Ann Forster. Come we now out of darkness, of our unknowing and the dusk of our dreaming. Come we now from far places. Come we now into the twilight of our awakening and the reflection of our gathering. Come we now all together. We bring unilluminated our dark caves of doubting. We seek, unbedazzled, the clear light of understanding. May the spark of our joining kindle our resolve, brighten our spirits, reflect our love, and unshadow our days. Come, we now enter the dawning. Let us now light candles to represent the joys and sorrows present in our hearts and residing in the silence among us today. We will light 3 candles this evening for our joy and our sorrow and for the world. As each candle is lit, please bring into your hearts any sorrows or joys you carry with you this week as we hold this space together in community and for our world. A candle for our joys, for the sparkle, and shine of Christmas lights festooning houses and trees, for the return of electricity and the receding of the flash floodwaters, and for all the people and all the things in our lives, both large and small, that brighten our days and fill our hearts with joy. Now we light a candle for our concerns, for our loved ones near and far, for those struggling with their health, with loss, and with loneliness. And finally, we light a candle for our world. As war continues to rage in Israel and Gaza, in the Ukraine and other sites around the world, for the unhoused as we move into the cold of winter, we light a candle of peace, of love, and of care for our broken world. May these candles spark hope in us all. Now let us take a moment of quiet with the ringing of our singing bowl to reflect on the joys and sorrows that we carry in our hearts. Please continue to rest in contemplation as we receive the gift of music from the Tenebrae Choir in the bleak midwinter. Our reading this evening is A Blessing for Traveling in the Dark by poet and United Methodist minister Jan Richardson. Go slow if you can, slower, more slowly still. Friendly, dark, or fearsome, this is no place to break your neck by rushing, by running, by crashing into what you cannot see. Then again, it is true, different darks have different tasks. And if you have arrived here unawares, if you have come in peril or in pain, this might be no place you should dawdle. I do not know what shadows ask of you, what they might hold that means you good or ill. It is not for me to reckon whether you should linger or you should leave. But this is what I can ask for you, that in the darkness there be a blessing, that in the shadows there be a welcome, that in the night you be encompassed by the love that knows your name. Here ends our reading. We'll begin our spiritual practice, and this evening, while we're not yet at midwinter, many of us feel the bleakness represented by the bare trees and the fallow gardens. Many of us can feel out of step with the month of December, with its abundance of celebration and its almost militant insistence on feeling joy and peace. And tonight, we're going to set aside those expectations that we be happy and joyful. And together, we're going to give each other permission to feel whatever this season evokes within us. We're going to begin with a litany. A litany is a traditional Christian form of prayer that offers up a series of feelings or actions or experiences to something greater than ourselves. Whether that something is spirit or the great mystery beyond our understanding, or whether that something bigger is a loving and compassionate community. Our litany this evening is called A Litany of Comfort for Blue Christmas, and it's written by Darrah. There is a responsive piece to this litany. Each stanza ends with the words, "'Tis this season brings forth many feelings," to which the responsive piece is, "We find comfort in naming these feelings. We find some peace in being together." But in keeping with our tradition of holding silence, I ask that you repeat these words in your heart, and Reverend Katie will speak the response aloud on all of our behalf. Let us begin. All around are bright lights and merry messages, yet in our heart not all is joyful. There is grief with the loss of relationships, those we love no longer with us because of death, those we have loved who are estranged from us, those we love yet experience a diminishment of intimacy. There is grief with the loss and change of relationship, grief bittersweet for its consequence of the presence of love. This season brings forth many feelings.
We find comfort in naming these feelings. We find some peace in being together.
All around us are bright lights and merry messages, yet in our heart not all is joyful. There may be pain in our bodies, physical pain as a natural outcome of aging, physical pain that represents itself in illness, pain in the body that forces us to change and impose limitations. Pain, bittersweet for physical experience, includes both pain and pleasure, and this season brings forth many feelings.
We find comfort in naming these feelings. We find some peace in being together.
All around us are bright lights and merry messages, yet in our heart not all is joyful. There may be anger and regret with the memories we hold, anger with past experiences of hurt or abuse, regret for our own actions that may have caused hurt to others, anger that life has not turned out as we had imagined, regret for what we might have said or done, anger and regret, bittersweet in presenting the possibility for healing and forgiveness. This season brings forth many feelings.
We find comfort in naming these feelings. We find some peace in being together.
All around us are bright lights and merry messages, yet in our heart not all is joyful. There may be uncertainty that accompanies transition and change, uncertainty of what the future may bring with changes, uncertainty of direction or purpose after retirement or change of vocation, uncertainty when changing residence by choice or necessity, uncertainty, bittersweet for change, a constant in life. Let us know, it lets us know we are alive and change along with this. This season brings many feelings.
We find comfort in naming these feelings. We find some peace in being together.
All around us are bright lights and merry messages, yet in our hearts not all is joyful. There may be a sense of hopelessness in the face of so much violence and suffering, hopelessness with attempts to heal our aching world and ourselves, hopelessness in witnessing what we have not managed to accomplish, hopelessness, bittersweet for its longing, reminds us of our capacity for hope and the human spirit's tenacity and courage that rests deep within each of us. This season brings forth many feelings.
We find comfort in naming these feelings. We find some peace in being together.
All around us are bright lights and merry messages, yet in our hearts not all is joyful. There is loneliness. Loneliness when we find ourselves alone after being long partnered. Loneliness when we are separated from loved ones. Loneliness when we move into a new community and struggle to find our way. Loneliness that never seems filled even with good company. Loneliness that is ever present and aching in our heart. Loneliness, bittersweet, for it is felt only when we have known connectedness. And this season brings forth many feelings.
We find comfort in naming these feelings. We find some peace in being together.
All around us are bright lights and merry messages, but in our hearts not all is joyful. We know grief and pain. We know anger and regret. We know helplessness and loneliness. We know all these feelings. We name them, we live them, for such is the human experience. That love represents us with the possibility of being hurt, with the grief of loss. That connection holds the potential of loneliness and uncertainty. That forgiveness can begin to heal anger and regret. That being alive is a courageous act in which we engage all of our emotions. This season brings forth many feelings.
We find comfort in naming these feelings. We find some peace in being together.
Amen. Our spiritual practice is based on one that I developed during my chaplaincy training. I found myself struggling as I left the hospital rooms of my patients because I couldn't let go of the feeling that they evoked in me as they told me their stories. And I went to the rabbi who was the educator for my program, and I said, Rabbi, how do I put this down? How do I go on and not carry it with me? And together we developed a practice where, because she knew I was someone who loved stones, she said, Darrah, take a stone and think about the patients that you spent time with that day. And fill that stone with their stories, with the love you felt for them, your fear, your concern, your regret, their fear, their anger, their regret. And then you're going to take that stone and you're going to plant it in your garden. And so I did. And I found over time that this became not a physical act, but a meditative act. So as I left a patient's room, I would take a few moments to imagine myself in my garden with the stone, and I would plant that stone. And these feelings of care and sorrow and fear and loss and pain came to bear fruit in my imaginary garden. They became the evidence of our humanity, of a loving heart, that they are part of what living and life is about. So tonight, as we sit together, I invite you at home, I think I did put in the bell notes to bring a stone with you to the Vesper service. If not, find another object that you can hold that is symbolic. And here in the sanctuary, I invite you to come and take a rock. And as we pause, please feel all that you need to feel during this holiday season. Because while there are bright lights and merry messages, we sometimes carry the pain of loss and hurt. And I want you to lay those burdens down into the stone, and it will be held by the stone, by our loving presence here together, and by spirit. So if you would take a stone, and we will sit in silent contemplation as we listen to Eric Satie's Gymnopédie. I'm not sure how to speak. I'm doing the German. Take it for what you will. So please, I invite you forward to grab a stone, to hold it in your hand during this spiritual practice. Now that we've held our stone and asked it to hold the burdens, I invite you to now plant your stone in the soil. At home, if you have remembered to bring some soil, or if later you want to take it outside and do it, or do it actually now, whatever calls to you. But I invite you to plant your stone in the soil. And as you lay your stone burdens in the soil, set an intention. Wish your stone well. It is a seed that will be tucked into its winter bed of soil. And remember, we don't know what fruits these stone seeds will bear. Whether it will be a tall and sturdy, deeply rooted tree that will anchor us when strong winds blow. Or perhaps it will bear the fruit of a delicate and lacy cosmos flower that brings beauty and offers food and sanctuary for many creatures. Or perhaps your fruit will be a cactus, sharp and prickly, offering warnings of danger. I invite you now to offer your stone seed with love and to let it go into the soil. Our final reading this evening comes from the Mexican-American poet, author, and professor, Sebastián Páramo. It's called The Tejano Considers Seeds. To flower from seeds, to make roots from water, means there is a tending, or soft beginning, like tenderness, delicate young germination from soil. My baby, my soil as a noun, a piece of ground from the old French for soul, a native lightness. The soul rises in Texas too. Rising, like a verb, there's no stillness. To the threshold, another word for the bottom of a door, meaning there's a sill soiled, a sill or cut timber laid and crossed over. To soil, a verb meaning there is original sin, meaning before dirt, there was cleanliness, no entry, no violation of God. A mess of seeds that needs water. Give us a mess of thick mud, que chiquero, standing still like a cleansing after a gentle roll around, wallowing in a field, como un puerco, madrugando con hambre. I am your shepherd. I am ready for battle. With the pastured sky you fought so hard against. Their beanstalks growing upside down, reaching for hell. Here ends our final reading. Our benediction, I offer you these words. As we leave this space, may we know that the seeds planted this night hold both our hurt and our healing, that the fertile soil of our hearts will nurture and comfort these seeds into new growth. And may we know that the sun will rise tomorrow, and we will rise with it, in sorrow, in hope, in life renewed. May it be so. Thank you all for being here. We conclude our Vesper service with Light of a Clear Blue Morning, sung by the Wailing Jennies. If you're joining us online, please type your good nights and goodbyes into the chat and stay for our closing song if you would like. We'll wave and log off in silence when it's finished. Here in the building, you are welcome to leave in silence when the service is over, or stay as you will. Have a peaceful, renewing, and restful night.
It's been a long, dark night, and I've been waiting for the morning. It's been a long, hard fight, but I can see a brand new day dawning. And I've been looking for the sunshine, 'cause I ain't seen it in so long. But everything's gonna work out just fine. Everything's gonna be alright. It's been all wrong, 'cause I can see the light of a clear blue morning. I can see the light of a brand new day. I can see the light of a clear blue morning. Everything's gonna be alright. It's gonna be okay. It's been a long, long time since I've known the taste of freedom and those clinging captured eagle. You know an eagle's born to fly. Now that I have won my freedom, like an eagle, I am eager for the sky, and I can see the light of a clear blue morning. I can see the light of a brand new day. I can see the light of a clear blue morning. Everything's gonna be alright. It's gonna be okay. 'Cause I can see, I can see, I can see the light. 'Cause I can see, I can see, I can see the light. I can see, I can see, I can see the light. Everything's gonna be alright. It's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be alright. It's gonna be